Okay, my friends, let's just start off with the shocker du jour. You know about the giant hair follicle I have here. This is 2 inches wide. It is a hair follicle. It has the erector pili muscle attachment, the sebaceous gland, the root, the papilla, which is the vein and artery at the bottom, the shaft coming out the top. It's 2 inches wide. I also have other mud fossils here that I discovered. And this is a tendon from one, a piece of a tendon. And in us, that's sort of microscopic. This is a piece of meat. This is the kind of preservation I have. And it's understood now, and it's fully been validated by Yale University. I presented my stuff to them, 2012, 2013, somewhere around there. And 2016, they put a paper out saying that all of these mud fossils, basically, they call them something else, Edicarta biota, just as a name in Australia, but these are mud fossils, and the name of the paper was Exceptional Soft Body Creature Preservation Due to Silica-Rich Oceans, which was the impact of Venus into our atmosphere. Velikovsky went to every culture on the face of the planet, and he got their interpretation of what their cultural heritage said happened and how they arose on the earth. And every one of them had gods, every one of them had giants, every one of them had battles in the heavens, every one of them had an afterlife, every one of them had a giant great flood and a great dying. 100% of the earth had the same story. And dragons. They're not all insane, just came up with these ideas. These were disparate, means they were separate. They never touched each other, some of them. They had no idea this guy was saying this and this guy's saying the same thing. It doesn't make sense. It was coincidence. So we need to re-examine that. Secondarily, we need to re-examine what we're being taught in virtually every area, because as I will show you, the subatomic physics is just completely wrong. Space is 100% saturated with particles. Light slows down. We're going to be talking about how much money NASA is spending of our money. $27.2 billion last year. Now let's see what they spent that money on and see if we can determine whether it was a wise investment. They want to spend $6, 7, 10, 11 billion dollars more to go up and pick up some samples of rocks on Mars, and we already know what's on Mars. It's biology. I sent all that to NASA 10 years ago when they dropped Curiosity up there. And they saw the Mars crab. Everybody went crazy. Why is a crab on Mars? No, it's not. I know what it is, and I'll show you what it is. They also saw the Mars Morse code, and they said, wow, this pattern cannot be natural. I will explain that to you. They saw the Mars blueberries, which are these round little blue balls all over the place, and they are exactly the same as the Moki marbles, and I will explain that. Now let's see what they spent $27.2 billion last year of our money on. That money could be used, I think, for better purposes, but who knows? You decide. Let's take a look. Cost way over $1 billion to go out and get a sample from this. They brought it back. It's been here over a year. It's a heart. It's muscle from a heart. That's a heart. That's a heart. Psyche's a heart. This is what a heart looks like when the valves are open, and that's a heart. This is what they came back from Bennu with. This is heart tissue right here. This is a heart muscle. You got the membrane, you got the heart sarcomeres, you got the next membrane, you got more sarcomeres, and they come in a sandwich. This can be tested right now. I know precisely what it is. It's muscle. All right, here's what they used the money for last year. This is NASA's 2024 budget, and this was $27.2 billion. And Artemis and lunar exploration. They want to send another mission to the moon and land people on the moon. I don't know if they landed people on the moon years ago. I don't want to argue that. I don't have the evidence. You don't either. So let's forget that. They want to go to the moon. Let's just put it that way. That's all. I don't really care about that. They can spend some money on that. But that's not the big deal. Listen to this. Mars mission. They want to return all this stuff from Mars. Billions of dollars they want to spend. I mean billions and billions to get that back. And we already know what's there. I've already shown it to you, or I will. Then you got space science research, additional funding for James Webb. James Webb Telescope is totally wasted money, 100% totally wasted. They're looking way off into the distance to see the light coming at us, which is slowing down. It's not being pulled away. It's slowing down. There's no question it's slowing down. Absolutely zero question about it. And they base 100% of everything on the fact that light is being pulled away. I will show you it's slowing down, and we can speed it up. This is not something that is deniable. The mission exploiting distant exoplanets, black holes, fundamental workings of the universe, well, totally wasted money. Earth sciences, expanded efforts to better understand climate change. They don't understand climate change at all. Climate change and weather is a product of the scrubbing of our planet through the universe as we scrub through the particles in space, which are slowing the light down. Our outside atmosphere is thousands of degrees out here. Thousands. And then it gets cold, and then it gets hot again because it's a dipole. So it's hot out on the outside surface where it scrubs, forces cold down below because it's a dipole. Then that cold forces heat down below, which is us, and then the Earth is supposed to absorb it, and it is. And the Earth is getting warmer and warmer and warmer. We have expanded our envelope because of burning. They don't even have a clue about that at NASA. It's an absolute tragedy. They don't know what all these particles in space are. They just fluff over everything and continue on. What about the Mars crab, Mars Morse code, Mars blueberries? I can show all of these things in great detail, and there's not a single anatomist, biologist, or ist of any type that's worth a nickel that can stand up to me. Okay, my friends, this is unbelievable, but it's true. They went up to this asteroid Bennu, and they landed in a spacecraft on here, and they grabbed a sample of it, they brought it back to Earth. This is a heart, this is a heart, this is a heart. That's what a heart looks like, and the plumbing from here is gone, and you're down in the heart valves. And that's what a heart looks like, and when you take that off, you end up with this. That's what it is. And there is actual tubes coming out of there. They're not craters. There is tubes, and they refuse to engage and discuss this. You see this? This is what they went out and landed on. That's a tube. That's not a crater. That's a tube, not a crater. These are valves, heart valves. That's the heart tendon. This is a heart, and they brought back that sample, and it's here on Earth, and they actually have the actual heart sarcomeres. This is what they brought back. This is the sample. This white stuff is called the phosphate surprise. And under a certain light, it lights up nice and white. And they can see there was a white layer, and then there's this layer of little blocks. There's another white layer, and then there's another layer of little blocks, and that's what they brought back. And here's what it is, really close up and personal. And guess what those are? Those are heart muscle sarcomeres. You see this? Anybody that's a biologist, heart surgeon, they know that's the heart sarcomeres. That's where a guy had a heart attack. It ripped the sarcomeres. These are muscles. And what did I just show you from Bennu? The same thing. And they're layered with these layers of phosphates because they're phospholipids. And they end up being phosphates. There's no question this is what it is. It's a zero question. These are the layers of phosphates, and these are the sarcomeres. Now, is NASA doing its job? I don't think so. I've tried to get a hold of Bill Nelson. I try to get a hold of everybody. Well, I say everybody. It's a ton of them. Over the course of years and years. They just refuse to do their job. It's a tragedy. We spent billions of dollars to do this research. They got it back here for over a year. It's been sitting here. And we're going to study this for years and years and years. We may be able to figure something out. No, they just lost. Now pay attention to this. If this doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what will. These are heart sarcomeres. And that's right from the heart, a little tiny heart like as in you. Well, guess what? So are these heart sarcomeres, only they are up on Mars. And they are eroded because they were from a gigantic creature who died during the impact of Venus into Mars, all recorded throughout history. Nobody will talk about this because it destroys everything that they are trying to indoctrinate you into believing, which is just a false narrative of what happened in the past. This is heart muscle sarcomeres. You see the breaks? You see all these little cuts? These are connective tissues. They don't erode. The dusty stuff, the red stuff, it just dusts off. And this is Mars. There's no erosion here whatsoever. This did not happen on Earth because it would be eroded. You have little rivulets all over the place. There's no moisture to speak of on Mars. And they say this happened over millions of years. This thing died in a weekend. You see this? This was in 2015, 2014 maybe. That's an artery. And these are the little blood vessels going in to service the sarcomeres. That's the vein coming back up to the heart of whatever creature this thing was. And here is where it is. And these are the sarcomeres. I just showed it to you. And there's not a biologist, anatomist, anybody with a half a brain on the face of the planet that cannot understand this except NASA and the people at Yale and all the other people we put in charge to tell us the truth. And there's no truth there. There's none. Zero. It's all about them. And if it makes them look more important and the status is theirs and the funding is theirs, who cares about the truth? It doesn't make any sense anymore at all. No concern about truth whatsoever anywhere that I can find in my 15 years of doing this. This is not a 15-minute assessment of our situation. It is a 15-year assessment of the disaster of education that we live under. This has got to change. It's got to change damn fast. And if Trump is a man of his word, if Trump is a man of his word, he will step up and say, Roger, let's talk. That's what I expect. I expect somebody to be honest for a change. Don't forget, they spent billions and billions and billions of our dollars. Let's talk about this trench on Mars. Huge, gigantic trench, runs wider than the United States because of the impact of Venus, all written about. And Velikovsky recorded everything. And he was destroyed by academia. The same people that are destroying me, the same people that destroy all the truth in our society. All it is about them and our money taken to fund them in their little exploits. This is an absolute tragedy. And we are the recipients of this tragedy. That's just the tip of the iceberg. They say this continually over many millions of years, all these little tiny layers. No, absolutely not. This is what's called sarcomeres. You see these little stripes going down and all these little things here? Those go like this when it was working as a muscle from some giant creature. This is the red dust that runs off. There's no erosion here. This is on Mars. Please don't start that stuff. All it does is make the academics laugh and say, oh, these people are idiots because they say we never went to Mars. There's no space. There's no... I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So please don't do that here because there is space, there is planets, there is all this stuff. Now, those were sarcomeres, and this is what muscle sarcomeres look like right here. Those are sarcomeres. They pinch together like that. There's a zillion little layers, and then there's these layers here. Not only is this a heart sarcomere from a heart attack person, we went to Bennu, which was an asteroid, which is somewhere around here. There's Bennu right here. We went up there and went right inside and pulled out a chunk of muscle. This is a heart with all the plumbing at the top gone. And that's what happens to them. They snap right off. And you're into the valves. These are the vein valves, the heart valves. This is psyche. This one here is coated with metal. I don't think the whole thing is metal. I'm sure it isn't, because otherwise it would have been just one big ball of metal. The valves got singed and smelted because it must have got real close to the sun, or probably the sun. But you see, and you see, and you see. Now just take your time. Now think about a person looking at this and saying, well, it's just anything. Well, first of all, if you understand what blood is made out of, it's made out of metals. blood is almost completely metal and fluids. The fluids give off real quick, and you end up with these metals once it's smelted. That's why this is metal. Now, I have a meteorite here. It's a I have a bunch of them here. This is a tiny little meteorite, and it's an iron meteorite. All right, and it's magnetic. I have one here that's bigger. All right, and it's got biology built into it too. These little things right here, those are tendon locks. This here is the artery and the vein that's serviced, and I believe, well, this one here is hard to say what it is, but I think I know what it is. But I'm not going to say, and I'm going to show you what it is. I'm going to show you the blood. It's saturated with blood, because as it came through, it exploded because of the blood. The same thing would happen here. Just saturated with blood. They came back with heart sarcomeres. I've shown this for the last year. Well, I've shown that it was blood, and it was up there on this asteroid, and it was an asteroid. It's a heart. There was no question. And when they came back, I was blown away, because they went in deep. They didn't realize they were going to go in deep. They thought they were just going to grab off the surface, but it went in, and it grabbed a hold of some heart sarcomeres. That's a muscle. This is the phosphate surprise, which means they took a picture of this when they got it back, and it lit up with this particular type of, I believe it was UV lighting, and I'm not positive of that, but it's some frequency that makes phosphates light up. And they said, wow, phosphates, and it's in layers. There's a layer here, a layer of chunks, another layer of phosphate, and another layer of chunks. It gets smaller and smaller. Now we're down in an area where we can see the membrane underneath, the chunks here, this membrane was on top of here, and then you have more of the sarcomeres. This was the membrane, sarcomeres, membrane, sarcomeres. This is right up close to the sarcomeres. These are what pinch to make your muscles work. And the muscles in Bennu are right here. This is Bennu. And they went down inside and grabbed a chunk of it out of there, but a chunk of heart. Just like if you went down in here and grabbed a chunk of that heart, you'd have the same muscles, because the muscles are these muscles right here. And these are the membranes. And this unfortunate person had a heart attack. So that is what muscles look like. That's what hearts look like. The sarcomeres you saw. And Mars has the same sarcomeres of gigantic, gigantic creatures. Now the Mars crab is a gigantic blood vessel servicing muscle. The Mars blueberries are the same as the interstitium balls. I mean, interstitium balls, but they call them the Moki marbles here on Earth, the same things. And those are the things that are in your skin so that it can strap. Each one of these has a little strap. You don't see it here, but they're eroded away because they're cheap. The balls, they last forever. And it's just eroded. And these are the ones on Earth. These are the Moki marbles. There's no difference. None, zero. Zero. And as they erode, here on Earth, you have water that washed them down, and the erosion of the skin creates mud. They're just sitting in their own mud. All right, but they're eroded from the high spots. Now, the Mars Morse code is nothing more than interstitium. Those are the blueberries right here. You see these? Because the straps have eroded. You see when they stretch out? They can erode away. All these ones are on a bump. And it's been eroded, sandblasted away, basically. Just the straps. The straps are the cheap stuff. The balls, they don't erode like that. This is pinched. That's pinched skin. That's all it is. And this is Mars, and you can tell once again because there is no erosion here. There's no water has hit this. This is just like somebody dusted it. And that's what happens on Mars. They have all these dust storms going on all the time. This is because it's nothing but dust. There is just no water to make the erosion happen like it does on Earth. So this is why you see what you see. This is just like being dusted away, dusted away, and dusted away every day. So this is nothing different than Earth. And I get down right into the details of the sarcomeres and what muscle looks like. These are muscle, right? Well, actually, this is tendon. That's what your tendons are like. And there's different, you see the different colors? That means there's different chemistry there. Different chemistry means different, you know, how much strength these muscles will have, these tendons will have in different areas. This might have a lot more tension than this and that and this and that, but they all work together. And when they snap, straight across the top. That's why you see straight, like double star, straight across the top. That's what happens to tendons. Now muscles a little bit different. Let me show you a muscle. Here's a muscle. You see, these are muscle fibers, but these are the sarcomeres. You see the little bitty bits? Those are the sarcomeres. They went down, they grabbed, and they came back with little bitsy pieces of sarcomeres. You see them? And all the blood runs through here, through all these little valleys. That's a chunk of blood right there. They run through all these to service these. All these little fibery things are basically fascia, which is the membranes, the coatings and stuff. All right, there's a lot of biology involved in mud fossils. You have to understand it because they're body parts. You don't understand anatomy, you're done. First of all, you got to understand anatomy. You got to understand chemistry. You got to understand nucleophilic invasion and substitution, nucleosynthesis. You got to understand isotopes and enzymes and how half-lives occur and how things break down and stabilize. I mean, there's a ton of stuff to understand here. It's a little bit of work, but it's not bad. And it's very simple to follow, in my mind. Of course, I've been doing it 15 years, but I don't think the average person is going to have a hard time understanding this. You see this right here? That's an iron meteorite, they would call that, which actually is a metal meteorite. Every different color here is a different type of metal primarily. All right, now, and they coalesce together according to they want to be attached to each other, and then they form these crystalline attachments as they grow. As the glob has to be wet and swishy around. That's what smelting is. And it came through the atmosphere and burnt up. And it didn't really burn up, it just heated up so hot that the metals inside of this particular chunk were all that was left after all of the cheap stuff got burnt off. All right, and what was this originally? Well, to me, I would say this is more than likely a liver from some creature coming through space. And it boiled off everything, and there was a lot of blood in livers. It's probably either a liver, a heart, or a lung. Those are the three things that have all the most blood in them. Lungs, I would expect to see more cavities. A heart could be, but I don't know. These two up here, I don't see any valve activity, but maybe. There's a heart, a artery, and there's a vein. And you say, oh, come on, Roger, that can't be. Oh, yeah, well, you see, take a look at what you think. You see that red one up the top? That's red, my friend, and that is blood. You see that? What's that doing there? Explain that to me. And what about this one down here? Why would you have a black one? Well, you know why, and I know why. But a geologist have no clue. And a cosmologist and a physicist and any ist out there would just say, oh, well, it's just there, have a nice day, it's pareidolia, to think that that is anything other than some oxides of iron. Well, not understanding human biology and anatomy and physiology and how molecules transfer through the body, I could see where you wouldn't understand that. But I do understand it. And I know exactly what it is. And I have them here. Again, I have a meteorite right here. And this is a lung. And that I can absolutely 100% prove because it has the latch on here, which latches lungs. And I have a ton of lungs with a bunch of latches on them that I can show you. And one of them has been DNA tested, and I can have them all DNA tested. I don't care. At this point, I've given up trying to worry about what people think or care or how they react. We're going to do what we're going to do, and that's what we're going to do. All right? Thank you. All right, I just watched Bill Nelson from NASA talking about exploration on Mars and bringing samples back to Earth. This is muscle. It's all over Mars. These are muscle sarcomeres. This is the red dust. It's the red planet because of blood. These are muscle sarcomeres, exactly like I just showed you, the muscle sarcomeres that are on Mars. This did not take millions of years. This was a creature. This is Heart Sarcomeres, the same muscle that I just showed you, only not eroded like it is on Mars, because on Mars it's very dry and all of the red dust came out from between the connective tissue that normally pulls in like this according to these cracks. And all of this is dried and dusted off and has eroded. This is muscle. There's body parts all over Mars, and NASA refuses to do their job to talk to me about this. They went to Bennu. Bennu is a heart. And they picked up the muscle, same sarcomeres, from that heart, which was called Bennu. These are the Moki marbles. They're here on Earth, and that's from skin tissue from a gigantic creature. The skin eroded, and all of the secure points in the skin have just drifted away. And guess what? Exact same thing as on Mars, only on Mars they call it the Mars blueberries. And they're around here somewhere. Here they are right here, Mars blueberries. Same, exact same thing. This is the basement layer of skin. There is nothing but biology. Asteroids, planets, everything is covered with biology. Meteorites coming through space are saturated with blood just as well. You see that? That's red blood. And down below is the black blood, vein and artery. And the rest is metals that have smelted as it came through the atmosphere. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. This is Bennu. They came back with the sample I just showed you. It's a heart, and the sarcomeres are here. That's a tube coming out. That's a tube coming out. These are not all impact craters. It's time to stop this nonsense. It's $27 billion a year for NASA right now. This cost, they're talking, well, we might be able to do it for 6 or 7 billion. We really conserve. And in about 10 years or so, 15 years, we'll get the results of this. They already know it's completely saturated with life. If nobody talks to me about this, we're just spending money, just doling it out for free. And it's been 10 years I've been trying to, I contacted NASA 10 years ago. They went to Yale, and Yale funded them for a study and said, yes, Roger is right. Soft tissue fossilizes in exceptional preservation during this terrible event that happened, which caused a Triassic layer. Now, if this is something that is known now, that these things can preserve in this manner, and that's why they have preserved the way they did. It's because the impact of Venus into our atmosphere caused our problem here, and the saturation of the whole world with water and silicates, and the same thing happened on Mars. And Mars is also a dead now planet. Our planet, it doesn't look too good. Mars, she's gone until you can get a new atmosphere. And the only way you can do that is to have new life start to grow. All right, that's it. It's time to stop this. Now, President Trump's got to stand up. This Department of Equity or whatever they're going to do, Musk, whoever, somebody's got to step up and do this. This is insanity to continue this. And to allow this is a tragedy against the American people. $27 billion, the most incompetent people I've ever seen in my life. And I'm sorry, that's just a fact. Now, if Trump doesn't stand up and do something, I don't know what. It's impossible to go around like this in circles forever. You people are paying the bill. I'm paying the bill. I don't like it.